Before he became an industrial giant, did you know that Walt Disney was once told by a newspaper editor that he lacked imagination and had no good ideas? This penniless animator went bankrupt while his first studio and his first successful cartoon character were stolen right out from under him. Yet he transformed those massive failures into a multi-billion-dollar empire, permanently shifting how humanity experiences childhood, folklore, and theme parks. Make sure to watch until the very end of the video as we break down the high-stakes, secret laboratory project known as Project X, an audacious real estate gamble that nearly destroyed Walt Disney's company, but ultimately birthed the most visited vacation resort on the planet. Walter Elias Disney was born in Chicago in 1901 to Elias Disney and Flora Call Disney. Seeking a better life, his father moved the family to a farm in Marceline, Missouri, when Walt was young. It was here, surrounded by rolling hills and farm animals, that Walt developed his lifelong love for drawing and his idealized view of rural American life, a nostalgia that would later inspire Main Street USA. However, childhood was far from easy. His father was a harsh disciplinarian who frequently used a leather horsewhip on his sons. When the farm failed, the family moved to Kansas City, where a 9-year-old Walt was forced to wake up at 3:30 a.m. every morning to deliver newspapers in the freezing snow, earning no money because his father took every penny. Exhausted, Walt often fell asleep at his school desk. To escape his bleak reality, he immersed himself in drawing, theater, and local vaudeville shows. After dropping out of high school at 16 to serve as an ambulance driver in France during World War I, Walt returned to the United States with a singular obsession: making a living as a commercial artist. In 1920, Walt started his first animation company in Kansas City, creating short cartoons called Laughograms. Despite his creative talent, he possessed zero business sense. He managed money poorly and went completely bankrupt, surviving on cold beans and sleeping on his office floor. Penniless but determined, he packed a single canvas suitcase, bought a one-way train ticket to Hollywood, and teamed up with his financially savvy brother, Roy, to form the Disney Brothers Studio. Success finally arrived with a character called Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. But in 1928, Walt discovered a brutal corporate reality. His distributor had secretly signed away his entire animation staff and stole the rights to the Oswald character. On the long, devastating train ride back home, facing financial ruin once again, Walt refused to give up. He began sketching a new character, a cheerful mouse named Mickey. Teaming up with his brilliant lead animator, UB Iwerks, Walt debuted Mickey Mouse in Steamboat Willie on November 18, 1928. It was the first cartoon to feature fully synchronized sound, with Walt himself providing Mickey's squeaky voice. The short was an instant global sensation, proving that while you could steal Walt Disney's characters, you could never steal his relentless drive to innovate. By the mid-1930s, Walt grew tired of simple cartoon shorts. He wanted to achieve something no one had ever attempted: a full-length animated feature film. When the Hollywood elite heard about his plan to adapt the fairy tale Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, they mockingly dubbed the project Disney's Folly. Industry experts, film critics, and even his own wife Lillian warned him that adults would never sit through a 90-minute cartoon, claiming the bright colors would give audiences severe eye strain. To pull it off, Walt pushed his animators to their absolute limits, pioneering the use of the revolutionary multi-plane camera to give drawings a realistic sense of depth. He ran out of money halfway through the production, forcing him to show a rough cut of the film to skeptical bank executives to secure an emergency loan. When Snow White premiered in December of 1937, it didn't just succeed, it shattered box office records, earning an unprecedented $8 million during its initial release. The film revolutionized cinema, proving animation was a legitimate art form and ushering in a golden era of masterpieces including Pinocchio, Fantasia, Dumbo, and Bambi. The idea for Disneyland was born out of a father's profound boredom. On Saturdays, Walt would sit on a park bench eating peanuts while watching his daughters ride a carousel, wondering why there wasn't a place where adults and children could have fun together. At the time, American amusement parks were notoriously dirty, dangerous, and filled with sketchy characters. Walt envisioned an immaculate, safe environment where his cinematic stories could come to life in 3 dimensions. Once again, everyone thought he had lost his mind. His brother Roy and his bankers refused to fund the park, forcing Walt to mortgage his own life insurance policy and sell his vacation home just to establish an independent design company called WED Enterprises. Disneyland opened its doors in Anaheim, California on July 17, 1955. Despite a disastrous opening day nicknamed Black Sunday, the park became an unparalleled cultural phenomenon. Within its first year, over 3.6 million people streamed through the gates, cementing Walt Disney not just as a filmmaker, but as the world's master showman. In the 1960s, Walt secretly began purchasing over 27,000 acres of swampland and orange groves in Central Florida under dummy corporation names to avoid triggering a real estate speculative frenzy. The top-secret endeavor, known internally as Project X, was designed to be much more than a second theme park. It was meant to host the experimental prototype community of tomorrow, Epcot, a futuristic, working city that would solve urban decay. Walt never lived to see it built. A heavy smoker his entire life, he was diagnosed with lung cancer and passed away on December 15, 1966, at the age of 65. Following his death, a bizarre, persistent urban legend circulated claiming that Walt had been cryonically frozen and stored beneath the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. In reality, he was cremated and interred at Forest Lawn Cemetery. His brother Roy postponed his own retirement to oversee the completion of the Florida project, opening Walt Disney World in 1971 as a permanent monument to his brother's vision. Walt Disney remains an unparalleled titan of culture, a complex, demanding perfectionist whose relentless drive transformed animation, revolutionized marketing, and built a kingdom of imagination that continues to shape childhood across generations. Thank you for staying with us through this magical journey. If you want to continue unlocking the incredible stories of the innovators who built our world, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and turn on notifications. Let's get the conversation started in the comments below. Do you think the Walt Disney Company has remained true to Walt's original vision of pure imagination and innovation, or has it become too corporate? Share your thoughts below. We look forward to reading your perspective.